Mabel O'Farrell was born Mabel Alice Hickman in March 1895 in Manchester, England. Mab, as she was affectionately known, met my grandfather Gus sometime just before the First World War at a garden party. It was an instant attraction. He had fallen for the girl wearing the big hat. At the time, Gus was a professional opera singer with a busy schedule of touring commitments, and with the recent outbreak of war, sadly their chance of love's bloom didn't get its opportunity. After the outbreak of the First World War in 1915, Mab's family emigrated to Canada. Meanwhile, Gus fought at Gallipoli in Turkey and later joined the Royal Flying Corps, serving in both Lebanon and Afghanistan. Throughout this time, Mab and Gus kept in touch through long letters. Whilst serving in Afghanistan towards the end of the war, Gus was shot down, injuring his legs badly enough to be returned home. Mab and Gus quickly became engaged by telegram. Mab moved back to Ireland from Canada, and in 1921, Mab and Gus were married. Writing was in Mab's blood, and in the early days she supplemented the family income by writing articles for various magazines and newspapers. We believe that she started writing the fairy tales as early as 1910 and continued to do so, not for income, but as stories to read to her own children. During the 1930s she worked for an Irish radio station, and then for the Irish Times, where she worked for over 50 years, contributing cooking advice and recipes until she was well into her 80s. My grandmother died in Dublin in 1979, aged 84. At her funeral, Gus, my grandfather, gave my father the fairy tales that Mab had written. Dad was instructed to give them to me in the future. I now have 9 short fairy stories, all set in all the far-flung corners of the world, and I now want to share them, and so I set about illustrating these beautiful tales, bringing them back to life. We decided that giving these stories away to our First Things First customers was the best way to reach the widest possible audience. So, written over 100 years ago, but illustrated by me this year, we are happy to share with you the first of 9 tales. It's an Eskimo fairy tale called Maloo and the Jewel. You can find it as a download inside Messenger. We hope that you, and especially your children, enjoy Maloo and the Jewel. Thanks very much.